anytime that we can get a serial entrepreneur, and that's the first title in her bio, I knew it was going to be special. Very, very strong lady that loves to give back, loves to empower other women, and I love that when I hear that, because that's courageous. That's the real. Let's jump in, introduce yourself, and let everyone know where you were born and raised.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Chris Kelly.
Okay.
I've had several other last names up to this point, but that's what I'm going to stick with. I picked that name.
That a girl for this hour.
I'm actually a native of San Diego.
You are? You're born and raised?
I grew up just 6 blocks away. My mom lives 6 blocks.
You know what we call that, right?
Oh, God.
Spoiled. I'm a kid from Jersey. This is paradise. So
yeah,
wow.
I grew up here.
Okay.
Little known secret.
Okay.
I was actually Miss Claremont.
Ah, girl. Right. All right.
You know, but
all right.
My gift was my prize. This is kind of exciting. Was a bowling ball.
Okay.
Because it's Claremont.
I was gonna say, what? No crown?
No. Well, I did get a crown and a sash. And
well, where did a bowling ball come in?
You know, Miss Pacific Beach got a car. I got a bowling
Wait a
ball.
minute. Wait a minute.
It was so.
Look, we're gonna have to talk to the mayor, because this is that's not even right. Okay.
But anyway, I was a rebel beauty queen,
okay.
Of course.
Okay.
So yeah, I grew up here, went to Mission Bay High School just down the street.
Okay. How'd you? What type of student were you? How was your childhood? Was it typical? Was it normal?
No.
Was it crazy?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So my
crazy.
childhood was I was the victim of childhood abuse.
Okay.
Both physically, mentally,
as a little girl,
sexually. Yes. Okay. And when I was a young teen, my mother remarried, and we had a wonderful man. That's when we moved into this neighborhood, who became our father, my sister and I, and kind
of pretty much raised you.
Yes,
right.
And sadly, he just passed away a couple.
And how old were you when he came into your life?
12.
Okay, wow, so you were a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about school,
yes.
Little girl.
So I was a total nerd.
Okay, wow.
Total nerd. No dating, no dates. I started working when I was 16. I was an above average student. Shy. I just wasn't into it. I just, I never rolled with a group. I just was always
did your thing.
Did my thing. Had to work when I was 16. So that consumed. I was, however, the manager of the student store and president of the business club.
So definitely an overachiever, and I would imagine took a lot of pride in what you do. Would that be a definition?
I don't know if that was really the case, or it's just what I was drawn to. Okay. And I was good at, and it was a place to be.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't a big partier at that time.
Right. Right.
That came later.
Right. Right. And I was the opposite. I actually got a lot of that out of my system when I was young. And then when I got older, it was the reverse of a lot of people. Usually it's, because I got introduced to that stuff very young. So.
Yeah, no, I was a rule follower.
Okay. Wow.
Didn't ditch school, nothing.
Wow. When did the rebel come in?
The rebel came in kind of the summer, maybe a little bit after the summer I graduated.
High school?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're graduated high school. Did you go to college?
So I went to Mesa College for a couple of years.
All right.
And dropped out.
Just wasn't for you?
Oh, the La Jolla Shores, that was for me.
That was a pull.
So I wasn't a surfer girl. I was a surfer girlfriend.
Right.
And just hung out at the beach.
Yep.
And my career got into retail management, and that kind of sent me off, and it was good to get away. But interesting you would ask about school, because it's always been a regret.
It has.
Yes.
About what? Not graduating?
Not graduating. And
why? Why? I'm curious.
Because I have been married a couple of times, and my first husband was a graduate from Syracuse University. He worked for the White House. And so I was constantly around very educated people. And often the question would be, so
where'd you graduate?
Where did you graduate from?
Okay.
the school of hard knocks. How about you?
Right.
You know,
right.
so I always had this thing. And plus,
Right.
he made sure to remind me that I was uneducated, if you will.
Right.
And so the reason that that's an awesome question to have you come up with is that a year ago, a year and a half ago, I decided to eradicate that regret.
Okay.
And as of May last year, I graduated with
That girl.
So,
That girl.
for me, that's the thing. Like,
so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back a little bit because let's highlight and underline some things that are very important. Obviously, there were things in those windows of time that definitely beat up your self-image, right? Because people were saying, where did you graduate from? You're in that circle. That's their world. And then on top of it, obviously your ex-husband at the time wanted to remind you that you didn't have that piece of paper, right? Obviously, I can tell, I'm sure looking back now, you understand that all came from insecurity on his part.
Oh, absolutely. But even so, I feel like, we also choose people in our life based upon ourselves.
And attract them.
Right?
And attract them, no question.
So based on my childhood and the abuse that I went through and the healing that didn't take place at the time. And then I chose to, in my, 19 or so, that's when I started finding liquid courage.
But let's hold up a second because you made some really great points here that I want to drive home. See, 4 or 5 times you said within 2 minutes, So what I love about that and what people have to understand is you're owning it, right? Whether you could define that at the time or not, still subconsciously you are owning that. Obviously, you're still owning it, but that is so vitally important for people to understand when you're going through it. You got to be the driver in your seat, right?
It's personal responsibility.
Right. How long, where did that come from? Where did you find, or was it always? Did you always take?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm just, I was the prom queen of the pity party.
All right. I love that.
And, for a lot of time, yes, I played the victim. Now, I didn't play the victim of my childhood. That was definitely a part of my story. But I got through that by realizing, doing the whole Charlie Sheen thing, #winning.
Yeah.
If I don't forgive, and that doesn't mean forget what has been done to me. Or condone, absolutely not. But if I don't forgive, my energy is flowing to that negative space. And if my energy is flowing to that negative space, then who's winning?
Right.
The perpetrator probably doesn't think about me twice in the last 35 years.
Exactly.
However, I can choose to be the queen. I mean, I like wearing a crown. Don't get me wrong, but not for that.
No, because you understand.
So, it's forgiveness. And it's like, okay, peace out, homie. I'm winning here.
Right.
So that has empowered me. But then when I got into relationships that were, unsuccessful, if you will. I mean, I have 2 amazing sons from my first marriage, and I have a daughter from my last relationship. But when I left those relationships, or they left me, one or the other, I had to look at it and say, okay, yes, that did happen to me. Oh, he did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. Okay, but it takes 2 to tango.
Right.
And I always tell the women that I'm coaching or mentoring, you have to find your responsibility. Even if it is you picked him. Because the first time that something happens that doesn't sit right and you try to fix it and it doesn't work, and then you keep trying to fix it and then you blame that other person, you need to stop and say, wait a minute, why am I attracting this?
That's the key.
Why am I attracting this?
Attracting, right.
And why am I condoning, or what is it about it that I feed off of, that I'm trying to fix? And usually when people are trying to fix someone else, it's because they're trying to reflect the light off of themselves instead of absorbing the light and looking in and saying, what is it about me that I need to work on?
100%. And I love that you went with attracting, right? And I just did a video on this about if you want, it's life is simple, just not always easy. So if you want to have a better life, if you're not happy with your results, you have to raise your standards.
Absolutely.
You have to raise your standards within, and understand, draw that line and understand and be clear on what are the non-negotiables, right? Personal and professional. What are your non-negotiables? What are your standards? And as you raise your standards, you attract those standards, right? Good or bad. So I love that you went there. And through this whole thing here, you're owning it. Obviously, I can see your books and just talking to you for 2 minutes. But they become your results, right? That becomes your environment, and we speak the same language. It's personal development. This is what works. This is the real world. Personal development is the real. That's why I have such a passion for it. It saved my life 18 years ago.
Well, I formerly owned a salon and spa.
Okay.
And I did facials, waxing.
Okay.
I like to say, and this has offended one person, but it hasn't offended 1,000 other people. So I used to
I've offended plenty. So.
Rub faces and wax cracks.
Okay.
And I decided that I no longer wanted to be down there.
Okay.
And I had a lot of clients who would say, gosh, you take risks and I want to be like you. And I realized that I was really an underpaid, unlicensed therapist that was rubbing faces and waxing cracks and doing pedicures. And I didn't want to continue to do that into my 50s and 60s. Okay. So I went and became a certified coach.
Okay. And how long ago did you get rid of the salon?
I sold the salon in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And relocated back here to San Diego. I had been living up in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, that's right. You did mention that. Okay, that's where your salon was.
Yes, on Bainbridge Island in Washington.
All right.
So that's when I really began my journey into personal growth and personal development.
Okay.
But I still had to go through a whole lot of other crap.
That you were mentioning,
personally.
right? So you went through a few marriages.
Easy there, buddy.
Well,
2, not a few.
Well, but look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's 2, 1, 10. It is what it is. Your story is what it is. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a lot of stuff. It is what it is, right? So at the end of the day, you are who you are because of, right? And most likely, if you didn't get into personal development, this is just a guess, you would probably be doing a lot of the same things and looking for different results, which is called insanity, right? And me too. Most people out there. That's why I have such a passion for it. And when I can bring somebody on that's literally been there and done it, I can't be any more excited because it's wisdom. Keep all the knowledge, right? Keep that in your pocket. I want the real stuff. I want the wisdom from the real world. And that's what you bring. That's what I like. Keeping it real. So we can go back a little bit if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
And so your first marriage, how long were you married?
I was married for 8 years on paper, 7 years we separated. Okay. And one of the things, I think the biggest thing that perpetuated my ability to recognize that this was not the relationship that was going to be for the rest of my life is I stopped drinking.
Oh.
So yeah.
So what did drinking do to your life?
It helped me first. It helped me.
Right.
It helped me throw up.
Right. Yeah.
It helped me forget things.
Right.
Yeah,
in a toxic way.
In a very not cute.
Yeah, toxic way. So you
helped me lose shoes.
Right. How do you get home?
I don't know. Where's my car?
So there was a window of time where the alcohol had a really
and I was never a daily drinker.
Okay.
I wasn't it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I was, I need to get out of here.
Okay.
And so, do you want to get a bottle of wine? You can have a bottle, but I'll need 2.
Right.
Someone asked me one time, what did I drink with my stoli? I'm like, well, a glass.
Right. And that goes really back to that entrepreneurial DNA. And I'm not saying all entrepreneurs are drink like that, but at the end of the day, it's most of our DNA, a real true entrepreneur, is either both feet in or both feet out on almost everything in their life. So if it's toxic, it's going to be both feet in.
Right.
If it's healthy, it's going to be both feet in. If it's risk, it's going to be both feet in. It's that jumping off the cliff and building the plane on the way down.
Exactly.
Yes, no, I know you get it. So that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
So I decided, my sons were 4 and 2.
Okay.
My eldest son had just gone through open heart surgery.
Wow.
To repair an atrial septal defect.
How old?
He was 4. We had to wait until he was 4. We found out when I was 8 months pregnant with my second one, and he was 2.5. But
So it's genetic?
Yeah. And so we just had to see if it would heal on its own, and it didn't. So we had to make the decision, and we did. And I want to say that it was very successful. He went on, he's the one that's graduating next Saturday from Western Washington University, and he was a couple of times player of the year nationally on lacrosse. So clearly I was very happy and lucky that we recognized that, and he came through.
He healed tremendously.
Yes.
Tremendously.
But it was right after that I finally saw, I don't know if he's going to watch this or not, but if he does, he's never going to know that. He asked me this question, but when I would drink, I would throw up because I would drink so much. Right. And one day he said, Mommy, why are you sick again?
And was that the aha moment? That was the aha moment. And he was only 4 years old?
Yeah. And I mean, and that was the thing, was that they didn't see me drinking.
No. But yeah, and he's too young to relate.
You know, and it wasn't every day. And it was like, but if there was a party, and I started recognizing that I was really, having too many parties at my house.
Yeah.
I'll be the hostess.
Right, come on over.
Barbecue.
But
isn't it somebody's birthday?
But what's interesting is obviously he's 4 years old, so he's not going to connect it to, but there's still an impact. And that was enough awakening for you to say, wait a minute. This is it.
And I mean, I had tried to quit many times.
Before that?
Yeah, and I've had, bouts of not drinking here or there. Of course, I didn't drink when I was pregnant.
Sure.
And, I did everything that someone who has a problem with drinking does, where you try to manage it.
Yeah, and you try to justify. You try to justify.
I'm only going to have this, and I'm only going to drink there.
Yeah.
No, you have to stop. For some people, and I mean, my life has changed dramatically. People often say to me, well, don't you think you could drink? Maybe.
Right.
But I've spent 19 and a half years not drinking.
Right.
And I've gone through death. I've gone through divorce. I've gone through everything. Sober.
But the answer really is, because I get it all the time too. I haven't drank probably in about the same amount of time. And for me, I wasn't a big drinker, but I might have been that happy hour guy, or think we're at a party, some rum and cokes. But my thing was, long story short, I was a lot bigger than I am now, and I wanted to lean out. And I had a goal. I need to get under a certain percentage of body fat. And one of the things when I put my meal plan together was no alcohol, because it wasn't the alcohol, because I'd do Diet Coke, but it would lead to wings, pizza, and cheesesteaks, you know what I mean? So that was my thing. So it's funny, I stopped, right? And about 2 months later, I'm thinking, God, I don't even miss this, and I never drank again. But when I'm out somewhere, people will ask, because I'm sure you get it all the time. You don't drink? Why don't you drink? How? It makes them so uncomfortable.
So here is. So when I moved back to San Diego,
right.
First night I go out, I'm having tea with my girlfriend downtown. Yeah. Of course. I've been gone for 18 years, and someone that I used to date shows up in the, Sears
girl.
And they're all hammered.
Right.
And, let me buy you a drink, let me buy you a drink, let me buy you a drink. Wow, you look great. Well, that's because you're drunk. But, so, no, I'm good. Thanks. I have my tea. Right. What is wrong with you?
Yep.
You don't drink?
Yep.
No, because I don't want to look like you.
But you know what?
So here's the answer.
Yeah.
I finally, because I didn't go out when I lived up in Seattle. I lived on an island.
So what's your answer? I want to hear this. I like this.
Trust me, the world is a safer place.
Okay. And that's
the answer.
And that's
the end.
But that works for you. My answer is it just doesn't fit into my lifestyle, right? And but that works for you.
Because I don't need to explain to you I mean, if you need me to explain to you, you probably remember back in the day, if that, but to the new people.
No, it doesn't, there's no need.
But I have found, since I've been back now for 6 years, and I have gone out a few more times, not a lot, the question hasn't come forth quite as much as it did when I first got here. So I don't know if there's a lot of other people that are getting more mature, like me.
Or what you're attracting.
Or,
honestly.
Yeah.
It's that,
staying out of, and also staying out of those places.
Yeah, because for what? That's exactly.
Because I want to make out with some drunk guy?
No, exactly. I mean, but you're right. You don't belong there. It's not part of your lifestyle. And you choose not to be part of that. But the other thing, too, is you needed a big enough why. And your son and your family was a big enough why to at least move forward.
I want to address that.
Sure.
Because if that was totally the truth, I would have stopped before then. There was an incident.
Oh, okay.
That was humiliating.
Okay.
That really was the
kicker. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't make it into the newspaper.
But was it before or after your son said that?
Right about the same time.
Okay.
It was, within probably 2 weeks. And
so the universe was saying, girl.
Yeah, and I made the decision, and I did everything that I needed to do to, get that momentum going. And I had decided.
Okay. So if anything, then your son just drove it home and said, "Listen, it was the finale, if you will, for lack of a better term."
Yes.
But still, right? Whatever that is, right? For me, it just didn't fit into my lifestyle anymore, and that's a big enough why for me. And for you, it's you no longer want this lifestyle, so no, it's not going to fit into your lifestyle. And it just happened that your son just said, "Hey, are you still going to be sick?" So now you have those two, but people have to understand. She paid attention, but it meant something because we're feeling beings. That's we feel, right? That's who we are. So when you try and shut that down, you're going against nature, and that's just the reality.
Well,
and I like to highlight that though.
I'm an empath, so I feel things times a million.
Okay.
And so that really is truth. When you talk about, I don't just feel my stuff, I feel everybody else's stuff. And so whether it's alcohol or some other kind of addictive behavior, and I still honestly am not, I don't say, hi, I'm Chris and I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, right.
It just it didn't work. Yeah. That was not the Band-Aid for the situation. Because really a Band-Aid is never going to fix anything. No, that was pulling the Band-Aid off and then going through more pain. And that's where people get wrapped up in going back into that old behavior because when they begin to face whatever it is that they've let go of, that they've been hiding behind, and now it hurts or it's scary. And I'll never be able to handle it. So then we go back over here, back over here. But that's never going to work.
No, it's actually going to get worse.
It's going to get way worse.
It's just going to get worse. And so ultimately, it just doesn't fit into your lifestyle. What are the changes that you started to see?
Well, I got a divorce.
Okay, there you go. She stopped drinking. She said, "You know what?
No, seriously,
this doesn't fit."
No, it doesn't, and it didn't. And I want to say, I'm not throwing my son's father under the bus. He is fantastic father, has been a fantastic father, but we just weren't meant to be together. Right. And his personality was not in alignment with my personality once I began to see what my personality was really like.
Yeah, you really came to.
Yes. Yeah. I had suppressed my self-worth and my self-esteem, and when I stopped masking my feelings, I started to gain some courage and some strength.
Yeah.
And so that helped me to say, no, that you don't get to tell me what to do anymore.
Right.
And so, I asked for support and was denied, and I asked it a second time and was denied again, and I said, okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. But you ultimately, your vibration was raising and his wasn't, and you weren't able to meet, right? And that's just the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
And when I went through marriage counseling, she took a lot of pressure off of me, the counselor, and said, I never was I grew up in Jersey. I'm a kid from Jersey, so when they said they were talking about the universe, I'm looking at her like she had 3 heads, right? I had no idea what she's talking about, but she started me on that path. But what she said to me was, as you raise your vibration, they're either going to come up or they're going to fall away. But either way, it's not your job. Mm-hmm. You just keep either moving up or you're going to fall back down with them. And it took a lot of pressure off, right? Because I'm trying to figure out why I'm not connecting with people that I grew up with. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, right? I go back home, I don't even know them, right? But that took a lot. Well, it gave me a lot of clarity, but it also took a lot of the guilt or pressure off or confusion. Yeah. To be honest with you, confusion, because that happens.
Right.
Yeah. So the other thing, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. We were talking about your ex-husband, or talking about other relationships, me too, or even coaches, teachers, parents, whatever that is. They can only work through their own level of awareness. Doesn't mean that you condone what they did. Doesn't mean that it was right. But we can only work to our own level of awareness. Now, we can raise it or we can drop it down, but everyone can only work through their own level of awareness. So, that at least helps to understand how some people think.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I have done since becoming a coach, written a couple of books, but so I had another child. Okay. So I had a 12 and a 15-year-old, and then I thought that it would be awesome to have another child. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I was over 40.
Okay.
And it was a girl, and I didn't know how to do boys.
Right.
Blindfolded. And then I got this little sweet angel that talks all the time. But before she really started to talk, and this is when I was becoming a coach, so...
Were you still up in...
I was still up there, Okay. And she was, learning how to walk and learning how to do things, and innately, with very little language skills, would say, I can't. Well, that doesn't work in this house. And so I started, really researching mindset, where it develops, at what age it develops, and what we can do. Because I somehow got lucky with my sons, without the research, that they had that mindset of just continually doing it. And, maybe that was something that came through my parent, my mother. But anyway, so instead of telling my daughter, let me do that for you, or yes, you can, I just changed the language. Okay. So she would say, I can't do that. And I would say, I can do anything. In response to her saying, and then her brothers picked up on it. So when she would say, I can't, they would respond with, you can do anything. I wrote a book about that, just a little child story, which I didn't even realize I had. But in my research, I discovered that our mindset is established by the age of 7. So when we're raising kids, when we were raised, what was the mindset that was given to us? Like I heard on your show the other day when you interviewed Nicole Ladegard that her parents had been in network marketing, and they had raised her up to have this awesome can-do attitude. Yeah. And, how beautiful for her. And that's what I've seen her and Tom as parents do with their children. Right. But that's the minority. That's a little teeny tiny
big time minority.
And so that's one of the things. Like, somebody asked me the other day about my daughter, and I was like, she's like negotiating with a terrorist. There is no losing to her. There's no winning with her.
Yeah, she wins.
Will win all the time. And she just gave me her Christmas list last night. One of the things on it, of course, there was a puppy and a cell phone and a computer, because every 8-year-old needs those things. But what was really cool is she wants a sign that says, I can do anything when I set my mind to it. I have a book over there on the table that I wrote, and that's the title of the book, but she wants it on a big poster.
But you just changed her conditioning. And that's what it's about, right? Right? I mean, that's what it's about. And I'm so glad you went there, because I always say that, I'm a big believer that the greatest gift as an adult that you can give a child is a strong self-image, because you can build it up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. It's just, you can. So her conditioning would have been in different circumstances, different environment. She would have been taking this I can't mindset, mentality, self-image along with her, right?
Yeah.
So it's changing the conditioning.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool. We'd love to know where that started, right? It'd be so cool, but it doesn't matter as long as you start to change it.
Well, I mean, so she's a singer.
Okay.
And this is an interesting story about how that all works. She was in the church choir.
Okay.
She has a real gift. And she's sung in front of 600 people at church in the choir. And I asked her one day, she was 6. Yeah, she was 6. I said, would you ever want to do a solo? And she said, oh, no, Mommy. I said, why? She said, well, what if people laughed at me? I said, what if people stood up and clapped for you? And she said, well, that would be really cool. And I went on to tell her that God had given her this amazing, beautiful voice, and that was her gift that she needed to share. Fast forward a year, she comes down the hallway, and she says, Mommy, I just learned how to sing this song. Okay. And she starts singing with no, a cappella, no words in front of her, the national anthem. And nails it. I said, where did you learn that? And she said, well, YouTube. 2 days later, she sang it in front of 250 people at her school on stage, having never stood up and done a solo performance. And that was 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that was actually 3 years ago that we had that first conversation. 2 years ago. Now she's tried out for America's Got Talent. I mean, she's not afraid, and she wants to have a YouTube channel. But when you ask about that pivotal moment, it was kind of, she had the belief. Mm-hmm. She always is a strong and courageous. She stood up for me. One of her brothers had mouthed me. She's like, don't you dare disrespect my mother. Like, you're 5.
But she has it.
But, so then it was realizing. Yeah. So what? And let me tell you, the first time when she sang that national anthem and she got a standing ovation from 250 people, she knew exactly what I was talking about.
But also, let's also underline too the process. You set a seed.
Yes.
And not only did you set a seed, but her mom set a seed. In other words, or a teacher, somebody at that level that they look at a certain way, that they feel safe with, that they know, right? Obviously, you're her mom, so you're at a major level with her. So that is even so. And here's why I'm going there, because it's a double-edged sword. If you're the mom, if you're at that level and you tell her that she can't do it, it's going to sink in just as hard as when you can tell her that she can. And that's what people have to understand. It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Self-talk and affirmations and belief is a double-edged sword. It's just most parents, teachers don't understand really how strong the subconscious mind is.
Well, I think that so many people are so wrapped up in what's going on in their world. Mm-hmm. Whether if it's a couple or if it's a single parent, whether that be a single mom or a single dad. I mean, I know what it's like to be a single parent. It is no joke.
Right.
It is 24/7, 365. How am I going to feed them? How am I going to keep a roof over their head? How am I going to provide clothes? How am I going to raise them? How am I going to give them a spiritual foundation? And extracurricular activities. Where is this money coming from? Right. I don't know how I'm going to do all of this. So, unfortunately, if you're not aware and you're not totally tuned in to how important that piece is almost as important as the roof over your head, because if you teach them how to have that foundation when they're an adult, they are going to know how to put that roof over their head. They're going to know how to show up for themselves.
That is the most important. That is the epicenter.
Yes.
In my opinion, that is the epicenter that so many people miss, right?
Yes.
Because, and what was really cool for me with Nicole's interview was she was talking about how her kid's school actually.
I know.
Because I'm like, you know, if these schools would do that, and she goes, our school actually does.
That was
so
really cool.
Because look, at the end of the day, that besides the foundational, you know, reading and you know, math that you have to keep, that you can get by, everything else, man, if you can implement personal development from day one, what a difference. And you know, a lot of people might think, well, they're too young to understand it. That's not true. They might not show you that they understand it, but how our mind works, as you know, the conscious, subconscious, and then it acts out in the body, is the conscious mind is going to accept or reject. Once that accepts that my mom said I could do this, now the subconscious is going to act it out because it's going to move you through. So, like you said, at what, 6 years old is when their mind is 7 years old is when the mind, right, is starting to be created, and
that's
their
kind of
beliefs,
like the cutoff.
their beliefs.
I mean, I'm sure that it develops a little bit more, but it's by the time. So like from 3 to 7 are the optimal years, and so I was really consciously aware, even though during those years, 3 to 7 was when the bottom fell out of my life. Personally, professionally, financially. And so here I am at my lowest of lows going, what am I doing? But I got to show this kid that quitting is not an option. Right. I have to be strong and courageous and provide and figure out a way and not browbeat anybody in the process. Right. Because I don't want to be that, you know, talking bad about this one or that.
Because you know it doesn't work.
No.
It's counterproductive.
And so even through my most trying times personally as a parent and a woman, somehow I managed to, you know, keep showing her and messaging to her, and she was my partner. I mean, we were in a network marketing company, that's where we met Tom and Nicole. Okay. And I signed up with 25% of the very last money that I had to my name. I was 6 weeks away from being homeless. And because I had some success in the beginning of the company, you know, I was up there sharing from the front of the stage. But you know what? Every single meeting I was at, she was there with me. She was 4. And we would go up to the front together and we would, you know, share our little story together. So she got to hear a little bit about what we don't have anymore. But she also got to see the process of building, rebuilding.
Right. And she's seeing that, listen, just because we're here doesn't mean it's the end. Just because we're here, right, doesn't mean we can't go back. So there's so many life lessons and boot camps that she's getting at such an early age that's creating her foundation. And at the end of the day, every parent, every coach, every teacher should understand how the mind works, because it's everything. It's omnipresent. It's in every cell of our body. And if you don't understand that, you're missing a huge part of this whole thing, because you have the most important job ever.
True.
I mean, no, it's the truth. It's the truth. And the biggest responsibility. So it is what it is, right?
Well, and so for me, like as a coach, and empowering women, particularly, whether they be single moms or not.
Doesn't matter, right?
No matter where you are, you know, because in 2010, 2011, I was broken, bitter, and hopeless. You know, that was my side.
Sure.
And I get to decide if that's where I want to stay. And so if any woman is finding themselves in any of those positions, broken, bitter, or hopeless, if you can just stop just for a minute and say, is this how I want to feel? Is this how I want my life to continue? And it all starts with a decision.
100%.
A decision. And, you know, the universe, I call it God,
Right.
whatever it is for anybody, just know that there is something bigger than you. And when you make a decision, the universe or God will conspire
to make it happen. And
to show you the way, and you don't have to figure out how.
And let's also highlight this. What you just said, right, is, you know, you call it God, someone else might call it universe, someone might call it life, right? Doesn't matter what the title is, but at the end of the day, why does that happen? Because you are part of that universe. Mm-hmm. You are part of that universe. So
that energy.
Yes. Yes, that's why what you think about comes about, good or bad. Mm-hmm. And I love the stuff that you're sharing, because it is what it is. It's just real life.
Well, I'm a manifesting maven.
Mm-hmm. All right,
I mean,
that a girl.
There isn't anything in my house, and they can't see it, but that little post box right there. So, I always have on my bucket list 2 things. Well, probably a few other things, but 2 big things. One is to do a TEDx talk, which
see the book yet?
Yeah, and the other was to be featured as a contributor for the Huffington Post. So 5 weeks ago, just about the end of October.
Okay.
Well, about 2 weeks before the end of October, I was at an antique store or the Goodwill, same thing.
Yeah, right.
And I saw that and I thought, well, that's really cool. Okay. And it's Swedish and post. This is the post box. Didn't think much of it, bought it, just thought it would look cute in my house. 2 weeks later, I was invited to be a contributor to the Huffington Post.
Wow.
And I put up my first article was promoted. It did okay. My second one had 50,000 likes.
Man, that a girl.
And about 5,000 shares. And it was kind of a controversial, not a controversial, but you know, a subject that really touched
caught people's attention, right?
Because that's not anywhere near average.
Right.
But it was like a couple weeks later, as I was running out the door, and I turned and I looked. Huffington Post, and it's the exact same font. And so things like the piano, I mean, just my daughter actually asked if they could lower the price on that. That was also at the Goodwill. You know, so everything that we really set our mind to, we can attract. And I do things called letters to God.
Okay, talk about that.
So I'm not a big journaler. Okay. You know, I had my privacy breached growing up, so forget about me writing anything down. But I started going to church about 4 years ago. You know, that's when I didn't have any other options.
And you were in your rut.
I was out of options, and someone said you should go to church, and I said I'm good. Yeah. But you know, my options didn't change, so I finally ended up going, and it was the best decision that I've ever made. And through the process of building a relationship with God, because church is still kind of a weird thing for me, even though I do attend,
right?
It's really about that relationship. Yeah. Okay, so I thought, you know, I don't know how to pray really. But I'm a writer. So I'm just going to go ahead and write a letter to God and just have a conversation. So I wrote a letter in June of 2016, so 2 years, 2014. I had been living in an apartment down the road here, and somebody new had moved in underneath me. They were doing drugs and, you know, drug dealing and Tinder. For those people that you know about
it wasn't pretty, right?
Not pretty. And it was not an environment that I wanted my daughter to see. And, you know, quite frankly, they did not belong in this neighborhood. However, they were living down below. And I thought, you know what? I got to go. But I had no job. I had no verifiable income. I had a bankruptcy and a foreclosure. I was not a good risk. And I had a co-signer at the apartments. But I knew my daughter deserved better. And so I wrote this letter to God.
Okay.
Dear God, thank you so much for delivering to Teresa and I this beautiful home. Blah, 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 blah. It's about 3 pages. I've shared it on Facebook before, but it was exactly describing what I wanted in a home. And I wanted where I wanted it to be, how much I wanted to pay for rent, I wanted it to be bright and shiny, you know, sunny. I wanted it to have hardwood floors. I closed the book. I went up to Washington to see my second son graduate from high school. I came back 2 weeks later, and 2 days later, this house showed up, and I drove by. There was no sign. I talked to a neighbor. Hey, Dee, have you ever seen it? She said, oh, it's really cute. It's remodeled. It's got a fireplace. It's got French doors. It's got hardwood floors. It's got... It's like, well, that's what my letter to God says. And so then I talked to the landlord, and I said, you know, they said, oh, we'll just send in an application. I said, yeah, that's not going to work.
Right.
That's not going to work. And I said, if I can get a cosigner, but can I send, you know, you will never get your rent one day late. I promise you that. And
how long you been here?
2 days later, I was approved. And in my letter to God, I said, I want to move in on July 28th with rent starting on August 1st. Even that happened.
And what year?
2 years ago. So we're 2.5. Yes, it was June. We moved in on July 28th,
so
2014.
You talked about manifesting some really good positive stuff. And what people have to understand is it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So that same strength that you have in manifesting good stuff, or we have, right, as humans, it can happen the other way around.
Absolutely.
And does, right? And that's what originally, that's what I loved about what you said is I, when you were talking about the dip, when you were talking about that rough paper route, right, that we both had.
Yeah.
It's I. And then it gives you that ability to now change that perspective. And, you know, the old saying, I either win or I learn. And I love that, you know, because at the end of the day, failure is only somebody's perspective, but it doesn't have to be your perspective. I had a restaurant up in Marietta, right? It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And people say all the time, right? Oh my God, what happened? I go, there's a major life lessons, major business lessons with an Ivy League price tag, and never spent a minute in class. And that's the real. That's the real.
Yes.
So it's all about the perspective, but that same power that we have to attract the good is going to attract the bad.
Well, how about this? This is a really good, simple analogy for people.
Perfect.
You get up in the morning, and I've had this happen. I'm going to tell you what I did.
Okay.
You know, you get up. I always make a latte every morning because no one can make it as well as I can. Plus, I don't want to go somewhere. Plus, I don't want to pay $4.50 for it.
So there's a lot of whys for that.
I like my latte. I like making them for other people. I was like, well, I could always just be a barista. Do they have school for that? But, you know, okay, then I spill my coffee on myself. I have two choices. Oh.
Yep.
What next?
Right.
Or, oh, well, good thing I'm wearing black pants.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time to go change.
Yeah.
It's going to be Ode Latte Parfum today.
It is what it is.
And I mean, my mother is one that is constantly, you know, negative Nelly. When I don't give power to spilled coffee or spilled milk or a flat tire or traffic, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
When I don't give it power, it's not winning.
Yes.
But the minute I say, what next? I promise you something next is going to happen because you've just invited it into your next 5 minutes, hour, day, whatever it is.
Your wishes are
and
command.
Then you just get pissed off. And so, you know, then you're mad. So now you have, you know, what's that new Bruno Mars song? Fix Your Face. Whatever it is. I love it, but it's kind of not a nice song. But yeah, that's what it is. You know, we really have that power. And when you recognize that, and I think that's what the general population needs to understand, is that it's just a matter of enlightenment, you know, just realizing like, whoa, wait a minute. I did this and this happened. What if I did this? Let me just try that. And that's what I would invite everybody to do.
And
just try.
And also, right, like you said, enlightenment tied in with perspective. Mm-hmm. So the latte did not end your life.
No.
The latte did not stop you in your tracks. So the perspective is, Okay, it's spilled. I got to make a new one. And great, I have black pants on. Nobody's going to be able to see it, right? So it's what you enlightenment and then that perspective. Let's put it really into perspective. What do you think of? And here's the other thing too: is since we're going down that road, and we're talking about something very light, latte. But when people get in that funk, right, and they feel like they can't get out, and it's that dark hole or that dark tunnel, I say you've got to get outside your bubble and look around, because there's people that are begging and wishing for your problems. They're all over the place.
Last night before I went to bed, I poured myself
a latte?
No, a glass of water.
I was going to say, how do you sleep?
And I don't. But that's another story. A glass of water,
right,
in a short glass, and I put it on the counter, and I just stood there for a minute. I don't even know why. Maybe this conversation. I just looked at the glass, and I thought, I am in a warm house. I just turned on the tap. I just took a glass out of the cupboard that's clean. I just put tap water, which, I'd rather be drinking bottled water, but let's put things in perspective.
It's still
I put water into it, and I set it on there, and it's sparkling. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's sparkling, it's hydrating me. It's water. And how blessed am I to have just done that little thing.
Yeah.
That little thing. And then to drink it. And so here we get all wrapped up in these way bigger things. Well, as long as you're going to focus on those things and not look at the little things and have gratitude. And honestly, when I finally ended up at a church that I could listen, it was the third time.
Yeah.
The pastor that day, he preached to me. Me. Let's bring it back to me. Now, and it felt like that because the message was no matter what anyone in here is going through right now. And some of you might be having relationship problems, or some of you might be having job problems, or some of you might be having financial problems. And for those of you who are having financial problems, which was me, I just want you to stop for a moment and take inventory, personal inventory. And I think you're going to realize that at this very moment, you have everything you need. God has provided everything you need. And so here I was sitting there. Literally, I had enough money to live for 6 more weeks before I was going to be on the street with a kid. And that was not a lifestyle that I was accustomed to.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I had been living a very privileged life for a few decades. So, but I thought, okay, wait. I have a car. It works. I have gas in it. I have a place to go home and sleep tonight. We have food. We have clothing. We have our health.
I was just going to say that.
We have our health. My children all have their health. This is the truth. That, and that was the day that everything changed. I mean, it's not to say that things didn't get worse before they got better.
No.
But that is what I always reflect on. And that's what I encourage other people to stop. I mean, really find a place of gratitude. And even when it seems like there's nothing to be grateful for, what if it's just a glass of water?
Yeah, that's it.
What if it's just a glass of water? What if it's somebody smiling at you? What if it's that you were able to open your eyes and take a breath?
Walk, whatever that is. However deep you need to get, it's that gratitude. And then if we want to take it to another level, when you could tie in hunger with that, you have the perfect combination. That's unstoppable, unbeatable. When you have that, and I talk about, immigrants. That's what they bring, right? They bring that hunger and that gratitude. They're so grateful to be here,
yes,
and they're so hungry to do better, right, than what they had. And perspective is so interesting, where life can really. I had a real bad motorcycle accident years ago. I could have died or could have been paralyzed if I hit differently. And that after that little boot camp that life put me through, I realized I was going through a major fear barrier. I wanted to sell my first business, but the old conditioning came back and said, well, you never graduated high school. What else can you do? You're doing really well. What else? So that conditioning came back. But the motorcycle accident, once I got out of intensive care, made me realize that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And from that point on, I was able to build and sell multiple businesses over the years because it was life said, guess what? Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and you could have been you might have not been able to leave this bed, right? Just like that. And that perspective, I've never lost it. I've never lost it.
Well, and you know what's interesting about that too, that just popped into my head, is being an entrepreneur. Even if you weren't able to leave that bed, I guarantee that you would have figured out a way to make a way from that bed. And that's an entrepreneurial mindset that you know, that I tried so hard to encourage some people to become entrepreneurs, and then I realized, you know what? It's not in everybody's makeup.
No.
Some people are 401k. Some people are,
you have to know that, right? You have
For
to
me,
know that.
that's like prison.
It suffocates us. We're suffocated.
I go into convulsions thinking about.
It suffocates us.
Yes.
So I want to just see who. Marion, look like we have a few people jump on. Comments, questions. Let's let them rip.
Greg Myers, hi Dave, bro. And then I want to get Nicole Lodigard in here. It says, hi Chris, love you, girl. For the things get better, we have to be better. And then she put, love that I can do anything I set my mind to.
Love it. Obviously, Nicole connected us, so thank you so much, Nicole. And I know you are flying right now because you just got back from Tony Robbins in Vegas. So we're loving that energy that you're putting out there, girl, because he dominates a market for a reason. He brings so much value, it's unbelievable. His message is so tight, it's amazing. The guy never stops learning. He just blows me away. So and I listen to him a lot. Anybody else, Marion?
Tom Lodigard says, so true, we have to own our own circumstances and accept responsibility for our lives.
Yeah.
100. Glad you jumped on, Tom. Thank you, buddy. And
thank you for introducing me.
Yeah, I knew this as soon as I read her bio. I'm like, man, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And if anybody connects with that, it's me. So, and I knew as soon as we met, it was going to be dynamite. Who else?
We have Mark Duncan. He says, blessed day, no blame game.
That's it.
Oh, great.
Victims
That's
never win.
awesome.
Victims
That's
never
awesome.
win, right?
Yep.
And we're living proof of that.
Yeah.
We played the victim for a long time.
And the blame game.
Yep. And it got us nowhere except more issues, more drama, more problems. And it's that same old vicious circle. And life, one of my mentors told me a long time ago that life's going to keep putting you through that boot camp or through that classroom until you learn.
Absolutely.
Right? Until you learn.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's the thing. People always ask, why does this keep happening to me?
Because you haven't
Because
learned.
you haven't learned.
Right.
So when do you want it to stop?
Exactly.
Pay attention.
Some people just need something very basic and mild. Some people need a motorcycle accident that almost kills them.
Right.
And that seems to be my life. That seems to be my life. Anybody else, Marion?
Chris Ripka, that's huge. You got to live the life that you choose.
Yeah, Chris, awesome podcast. And you guys should definitely connect with Chris. He has an awesome podcast.
Okay.
It's called, We're Real, Raw, and Live. He's raw and real.
Okay.
Great guy. You'd be a great guest on his podcast. So, Chris, I'll hook you guys up through instant message.
Chris times 2.
That's it. And there you go. That's right. The CNC show. Anybody else, Marion?
Gloria Madrona, love her. Preach it home, girl.
Thank you.
Gloria's beast. She's a cool chick. Thank you, Gloria, for taking the time and jumping on, as always. Anybody else, Marion?
Alice Lopez says grateful, not hateful.
Atta girl.
That's true.
Atta girl. Love it. Attitude of gratitude. Always wins. Who else?
And then we have Gary Oakley, seek and attract the people, places, and things you wish to aspire. I'm saying, yeah, baby.
You gotta connect with him.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Who is that?
Gary Oakley.
Okay.
And you gotta see his show that he did one of my shows.
Okay.
You know those people that they walk in the room and they just light it up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their smile and their energy. The second we met, he came in the studio and I was like, it was just blown away. And we were doing the show and I go, man, I want to bring you on as my co-host. I said, he's just electric, absolutely electric. And what he's been able to get through. And you want to talk about perspective. This guy, I can't say enough. I love this guy. Gary,
Oh, we're on camera.
I love it. I love this guy. So to say I'm a fan is an understatement. So anybody else, Marion?
Yeah, Shane the Train says, my man Dave. Hi, Shane the Train is in the house.
There you go. That's my boy from Philly, Shane. Keep making it happen, man. Keep that grind, big man. Anybody else, Marion?
Just some shout-outs here.
Bringing the heat, girl.
From Suzanne Hamilton.
Oh, she's awesome. Another great girl to connect with. Great story. Making it happen. I love her. Sue, thank you for jumping on. You got to connect with this girl. You guys will really connect. She was a pro bodybuilder for a long time, then went through some physical issues, and now she's just pulling her way out of it. Awesome monster mode. Love that girl. Anybody else, Marion?
Shout-out for Melissa Samuel.
Okay. Awesome. I know we connected.
Mark Green.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on. And make sure that you share this episode. Let's see those hearts. Let's get it out there. And as always, when we jump off, that's
Lots
it.
of hearts.
That a girl.
Yes.
That's it. Show the love. So before we jump off, I want to ask you, is there anything that I didn't talk about or I didn't touch on that you want to share?
Just in terms of, we've kind of talked about where I was, where I am now, about where I'm going.
Where are you going?
I'm going to continue really branching out in my writing career.
Okay.
I want to use the momentum and do something with that, because that's really my big dream, is to write more books and travel and speak. And
what does writing do for you? I mean, is it therapy? Is it your zen?
I feel as though I'm a voice for the underdog.
Okay, love it. I love that.
And I have no problem saying things that other people are afraid to say.
Love it.
The two pieces that did so well on the Huffington Post were, one of them, my daughter is biracial, and someone, after many years, asked me, I constantly ask the parent to someone who doesn't have the same skin color. You get asked questions like, where did you get her?
Right.
And you can read the article on the Huffington Post if you Google me, but I'll give you the punchline. And the punchline was my uterus.
That a girl. But
that kind of shuts him down.
So what I want them to know is when we jump off and you get back on, you can just post the link.
Okay.
So don't worry about if you can't find it.
Yeah.
She'll make sure. And if you can't find her, I know where to find her. So just reach out to me.
And then also I wrote something very political.
Okay.
On the night of the election, which was picked up immediately, and that was just a personal feeling. But some people agree with it and some people don't, and that's kind of the beauty of me. I don't really care.
Right.
I just want you to be nice.
Right.
You don't have to like what I do. You don't have to agree with it, but let's play fair or nice. So for me, it's just really about empowering. When 50,000 people like an article that you write, for me, it was surreal. It was, I mean, literally, I sat in this chair over here and I, what is happening here? Yeah. But it made me realize that I have a relatability story.
Right.
And I know that I have to do something with that.
And not only that, but you have a gift. That's a gift that you were given to to get that story out there. For me,
well, and I don't write. The thing is, it's like I don't write in a way that's like academic. You know, I write just like I talk.
That's to me too.
Right?
Me too.
I write just like I talk.
Me too.
And that I think is
the connect.
Exactly.
It's the connect.
It's the connectivity that they find where that a couple of articles that I've written, I actually had a couple of people reach out to me, strangers, and say thank you for what you wrote, because they went from there to my blog and saw some of my other stuff that I've written. Reading your words tonight actually saved my life. I was considering ending my life until I read your words.
There you
And
go.
I mean, I get goosebumps on that, because that is what matters to me.
Right.
I have said at the end of my days, I want to be able to say yes to 3 things and have it even on my headstone.
Okay.
She lived, she loved, and she made a difference.
Love it.
You know, the Brendan Burchard, you know.
Love it.
Did you live? Did you love? And did you
Love
do
it.
something else? But those are the things, and so that's what inspires me to go out there and make an impact. And Chris Kelly with Love, my tagline is impact, ignite, and inspire. And so, you know, I want to continue to do that through writing, through books, through blogs. I've been featured now in several different blogs, which is great because that just means the message is getting out there to more people.
Absolutely.
And it's a varied message. I don't stick to one thing, you know, but I can't tell you how to make chocolate chip cookies. You know, I'm not that mommy blogger.
Right.
Well, I can just go to a good bakery and buy it.
There you go.
But also I want to speak. And so it looks like yesterday I may have set myself in motion to have my first speaking engagement in 2017. So that's really what I do. I mean, one of my vision boards over here on the walls is to be invited to speak at the largest women's conference. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure that will happen, because those are the things that I attract into my mind, because I believe. And our journey is not on our timeline.
Isn't
You know,
it?
that is the biggest thing, right? Because
Man, girl, knuckle that up as an entrepreneur. I know.
Hung up on why isn't this happening?
I know.
You know, and people, whether it's in business or personal relationships, why don't I have a boyfriend? Why don't I have a husband? Why don't I have a wife? Why don't I have the perfect job? Because it's not your time yet.
Yes.
And I had to learn that.
It's
a faith walk.
And it's a daily thing. When you have the entrepreneurial DNA, it is a daily, daily struggle.
I haven't responded to my text message.
I know. I sent
it 30 seconds ago.
Exactly. They ignore me. They don't like me. You know, but that's our DNA. We want everything yesterday, right?
Yes.
But so I did a video on that. It is the hardest thing ever, but I wouldn't change it for a second about having that DNA and having that drive and that determination and whatever it takes attitude. You know, I wouldn't change that for the world. But the struggle's real. The struggle is real. So I knew we were going to connect. So we end the show the same way all the time. You know what that is?
I know what that is.
All right. So let me break it down for anybody. That girl. And then something tells me you don't need to practice much. So I believe that you can only be in one mindset at a time. So if you're in victim mindset, there's no room for gratitude. Mm-hmm. But if you're in gratitude, there's no room for that victim at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And if you could be in that unstoppable mind state the majority of your day, how great would that be?
That's awesome.
Right? So the Monster Motivator roar, the sound, as you know, is just as important as the body structure, because I believe that body structure tells so much. When you see somebody that's depressed or not feeling well, where are they? Their shoulders are down. Where are their eyes? Down. Where's their head? Down. When you see somebody that loves life, just is generate, right? What happens? It's completely different. So the Monster Motivator roar, besides it being fun, there's more to it, and it puts you in that mindset. So on 3,
okay,
we're gonna do it. 1, 2, 3. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome.